There's a Bible verse I think about sometimes. It goes, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" And I said, "Here am I. Send me."
You baptized with fire, through the veil, dropped the scales from my eye. Help me see that I was acting like a child. They say there ain't no church in a while, but John the Baptist would've called you one of them lies. You pulled the veil, dropped the scales from my eyes. Help me see that I was acting like a child. They say there ain't no church in a while, but John the Baptist would've called you one of them lies.
In those days, John the Baptist came preaching in the wilderness of Judea. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. For this is he who was spoken of by the prophet Isaiah when he said, "The voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, make his paths straight." Now John wore a garment of camel's hair and a leather belt around his waist, and his food was locusts and wild honey. And they were baptized by him in the river Jordan, confessing their sins.
When Moses asked God what to say his name is, I am that I am and I is that I is. I ain't never heard an answer that's more gangster than this. No justification or explanation, he just says that he exists. Jesus paid the temple tax from the mouth of a fish. Hell is full of good intentions, but the grave always wins. We could take the aim, we could place the blame, but our blame's the shame. If the bullet had a name, it's our name on the grain. To our hearts the stain. If one finger pull the trigger, then three more choke the vein. As our soul slowly dies to the cries of the saints, how can a stone beat if ain't no flesh still remains? Baptized with fire, through the veil, dropped the scales from my eye. Help me see that I was acting like a child. They say there ain't no church in a while, but John the Baptist would've called you one of them lies. You pulled the veil, dropped the scales from my eyes. Help me see that I was acting like a child. They say there ain't no church in a while, but John the Baptist would've called you one of them lies.
Wait into the waves until I'm standing on your grace, to the day that I die and I can see you face to face. Just cause you're alive doesn't mean that you awake, but the dead don't speak, so it's too late for them to change.
As a gangbanger, right? When you go on a mission, when you looking for your so-called enemy, you driving through a different hood down the street, you know it's an invisible line. You cross that street, now you in another hood, and you hunting. And when you looking, you gonna pass up the dude that's dressed square, right? You gonna pass up a dude from a different race. When you see somebody that's dressed like you dress, you got to walk like you got the body language like you gonna say, there you go, okay. And that's deep, you know what I'm saying? When you really unpack that, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? You looking for yourself just on the other side of town. You looking for yourself just on the other side of town. You looking for yourself just on the other side of town.